Did you know that roughly 12% of people only dream in black and white? Or that blind people still see images in their dreams? Hi guys, I'm Richard Various, and this is episode 7 of Various Things. This is a weekly short format podcast about anything and everything. This week we'll look at some interesting facts about dreams, a topic that's fascinated humanity since the dawn of time, and with good reason, as we spend about 6 solid years of our lives just dreaming. Amongst the ancient world, the Egyptians held dreams in an especially high regard. A papyrus known as the Dream Book contained examples, descriptions, and interpretations of dreams, and is believed to date from the reign of Pharaoh Ramses II. The ancient Egyptians believed that all dreams were either good or bad, and that people were visited by the gods when they slept. The Egyptians divided their dreams into 3 categories: demands from the gods, warnings, and dreams that resulted from special dream rituals. All dreams were oracles to the Egyptians regardless of their content, and they were considered divine due to the gods' presence when dreaming. Dreams were considered so vital to a person's everyday life that some temples even had special dream beds where a worshipper could sleep in the hopes of being visited by the temple's deity. Dreams feature prominently in the Bible as well, with Old Testament passages dedicated to the dreams of Pharaoh, Joseph, Nebuchadnezzar, Ezekiel, and others, and New Testament descriptions of the visions of St. Paul, including the apocalyptic visions of the book of Revelations. In the Middle Ages, dream visions emerged as a distinct literary genre. A dream poem would follow a characteristic form, beginning with a description of the conditions leading up to the dream, followed by a description of the content of the dream itself, then a revelation of a profound truth by an authority figure, and finally ending with a description of the dreamer attempting to interpret the dream within the context of their waking life. The dream vision became the predominant literary form in the 13th and 14th centuries, illustrating the almost obsessive fascination with dreams in the medieval world. While primarily used to explore themes of love, loss, greed, and fame, some authors used the form to explore deeper philosophical issues. Several such examples emerged in the 14th century in the midst of the Black Plague. The high mortality rate had caused a mass migration from rural to urban centres, where a new middle class of merchants arose, blurring the lines between peasant and noble. A number of thinly veiled social critiques couched in the form of a dream vision were published at the time, where the authors tried to make sense of the relatively new phenomenon of social mobility, disposable income, and an emboldened and wealthy population. In more recent times, Freud considered dreams to be of critical importance to his theory of mind and the nascent practice of psychoanalysis. Dreams afforded an opportunity to explore the patient's subconscious in a way that was far more effective than simple talk therapy. Freud called dreams the royal road to the unconscious, and insisted that patients record, or at the very least remember their dreams for analysis in subsequent sessions. For Freud, interpreting dreams relied on the meanings ascribed to dream symbols by the patient, rather than an objective list of the meanings of dream symbols per se. This approach to interpreting dreams meant patients not only got a more tailored and therefore significant analysis of their dreams, it also meant that dream symbols were sometimes radically separated from their cultural meanings and associations. Images traditionally associated with death, fear, or evil could therefore take on new and ultimately transformative meanings based on their subjective relationship to the dreamer. Analysis of dreams and dreaming increased from the middle of the 20th century with the emergence and growth of psychoanalysis, psychology, and neurobiology as distinct fields of scientific research. Applying a scientific lens to dream research has resulted in a more in-depth understanding of the nature, cause, and function of dreams in our lives. It's also led to some really interesting discoveries about the nature of our dreams in general. For instance, we only see faces in our dreams that we've seen before in waking life. It appears that our mind does not invent new faces in our dreams, but rather takes advantage of the sometimes hundreds or thousands of faces that we encounter each day when we're awake. Another example involves the prevalence of emotions in our dreams. It turns out that the predominant emotion in our dreams is anxiety, with negative emotions being more prevalent than positive ones generally. Perhaps most interesting are the differences in dream content and behaviour between men and women. It appears that men dream of other men most often, with around 70% of characters in a man's dream being other men. Women, on the other hand, tend to dream of other men and women in almost equal measure. Men also report more aggressive emotions in dreams than women, with researchers looking to hormonal and cultural explanations as to the difference. Scientists are relatively consistent on the function of dreams. Current research indicates that dreams and dreaming are necessary in order to filter and digest the information that we gather through our senses during waking hours. Dreams fulfill a kind of decompressing function when considered from this perspective, and in many ways they're thought to play an essential part in how we make sense of our waking lives. Indeed, dreams have been credited with the inspiration for some pretty well-known inventions, including the idea for Google, the periodic table, the sewing machine, and DNA's double helix spiral form. In the case of the periodic table, Dmitry Mendeleev described the inspirational dream as bringing together all the disparate aspects of the table into a recognizable form, something he claims he couldn't do while he was awake. So dreams are not only very interesting in terms of their content, but also in terms of their history and the wider differences between dreams and dreamers. I'm interested in what you think about this week's episode. Have you had a particularly powerful dream experience that's led to a change in waking life, or even a new discovery or invention? Let me know in the comments. There's quite a bit of further reading for this week's episode, so I'll include links to all the references I've used in the show notes on our Patreon page. If you've enjoyed this week's episode and you want to support the podcast, you should check it out. There are great rewards for patrons, like access to exclusive content, extended patron-only episodes and more, and you can support the podcast from as little as $2 a month. This week, I'll be reading selected passages from Romance of the Rose, a 13th century dream vision poem started by Guillaume Delors and completed 40 years later by Jean de Meung. So if you want to hear me butcher some medieval French poetry and pronunciations, by all means sign up as a patron and check it out. You can find us at patreon.com/various things. So until next time, this is Richard Various, and this has been Various Things. Bye for now.